Good evening. This is John Bailey. This is People to Be Heard, the program where people who have something to say have their say. And tonight, you've got Virginia Perez from the 17th Westchester County Legislature District, a member of the county legislature since 2011 when you were elected. And thank you for coming on the program such short notice.
Thank you for your invitation.
Very good. Ms. Perez has been a county legislator for District 17 representing Yonkers. She is an immigrant from the Dominican Republic and attended Yonkers Public Schools. She attended Monroe College, earned degrees in hospitality and business management, and worked for the Plaza Hotel. She purchased her first home at age 25 and has first-hand experience with the plight of all persons in the county seeking housing. She also had first-hand experience organizing the Dominican Republic Hurricane Sandy relief in 2007 and was elected to the legislature from District 17.
Thank you.
Now,
Noel.
Okay. Her brother, Martin Antonio Perez, was a victim of an illegal handgun shooting, and since then she has been in the forefront crusading against gun violence. And here's a slide showing where a recent legislation that the county proposed again to ban gun shows at the county center, county property stands. Could you tell us where this gun ban stands today?
Well, the county legislature, because we do have the executive and the legislative branch. Where does it stand today? Well, it is expected to be vetoed today by our county executive, Astorino, because there is a 10-day waiting period.
We're taping on Friday, January 20th.
So it is expected to be vetoed. Our chairman, Michael Kaplowitz, will leave it open to the end of the term. We'll leave the possibility of a veto override open. Hopefully we can get some Republicans to come over and help us get the 12 votes that are needed to override the veto. Should that not happen, then we will move forward with the Republican version, the second bill, which is really actually emphasizes on the laws that are already coming from a state level from our Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman, which has to do with more restriction in gun shows.
And what is the primary difference in the compromise bill? What does it do that is not being already done at gun shows now?
Emphasizing on the restrictions, emphasizing on the laws, security, and things of that nature. Again, we know, we completely understand that a lot of the crime being committed out there is being committed by illegal guns, lawbreakers, criminals who are buying guns cheap across state lines and bringing them back here into our state, into our county, and into our communities, and using them to harm innocent people. My brother, for example, was the innocent victim of a violent crime.
Yes, he was delivering.
Yeah, he was working a second job to sustain his young family, to buy his newborn daughter extra presents for her first Christmas, and some young gang members, they thought it'd be really funny to place a fake delivery call with the sole intentions of robbing the delivery person. And when they could not overpower my brother, they just shot him and killed him point blank. That was what propelled me into a life of public service, what propelled me to do what I do today, to do everything in my power to rid our streets of all of this crime. We can do it one day at a time, one legislation at a time, and work together as a community. So we know that these crimes are being committed with illegal guns. We already know that. We already know that they're not being committed by law-abiding citizens who are legal, licensed gun holders and owners. We already know that. The purpose of the ban is just, we're coming together in unity as a county. We're coming together and we're trying to put a message out there that the county and its residents are not insensitive to all the violence that is happening out there. We don't want to promote and sensationalize things like guns, ammunitions, and things of that nature. So we just want to show, there was the shooting in Orlando, recently the shooting in Mexico, here in our own communities, all of these, shootings, the young girl that was killed during the holidays, and then the father that was killed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're not insensitive to what is happening out there. So we don't want to promote it. The gun shows have been held for quite some time now in private facilities. They can continue to do that. We haven't had any incidents. They can continue to do that. And so it's just that
it sort of extends it to those private shows.
It extends it. There's no need to have a gun show in a county-owned facility, in a government-owned facility. That's the thing, you know, there's no need. We do represent all kinds of people in our respective districts. We do represent, you know, the masses who want nothing to do with guns, who want to see it all gone, and we do represent the masses who are license holders, who are enthusiasts, sportsmen, things of that nature. So, you know, it's kind of hard to balance it out a little bit, but all of those people, their taxpayers, their tax dollars support government buildings like the county centers, the family venue. So we just have to put it out there and let it play out and see what happens. But it's expected to be vetoed. We do have a public hearing coming up on the 24th at 7:30 p.m. at the county center, the Little Theater. The public hearing regarding pretty much the second version, which is the restrictions.
Yes. Now, how do you think gun shows in the county could address the problem of gun violence, gun accidents, and the illegal handgun epidemic? Do you have any ideas?
How do they address the problem? I mean, the way they gun shows promoters are there to promote their merchandise, which is, you know, their guns, their ammunition, their hunting gear and weapons and whatnot. How do they address the problem? By following the law, which I know that they've been doing. You know, no one can walk in there and walk right out holding onto a gun and ammunition. Everyone has to go through an instant background check. So how do they have to follow the rules? Everybody has to go through a background check. Anyone who goes in there and does not pass the background check, the authorities will be notified because you failed the background check and you are trying to, you know, come into possession with a weapon. We haven't had any incidents. We haven't had anybody breaking the law. Again, like I said, it's just we don't, in light of what's happening, we're not insensitive to this situation. We're not insensitive to the pain that that this violence is causing to families in our community, how it's deteriorating our quality of life in our community. So we just want to continue to promote, you know, the family venue, family-friendly county that we are.
Yeah. Your press release on the gun ban 2 weeks ago impressed me with your concern as a family victim of gun violence that illegal handgun possession convictions are not being followed strictly as to sentencing by the courts. Could you explain what the possessor of an illegal handgun discovered having it in his possession for the first time? What they usually receive as a first offense or told they should get?
It depends. Listen, if anybody holding on to an illegal gun, why do you have an illegal gun? If you were not planning on using it to harm an innocent person or just to use it for ill will, then you would go through the proper channels. You know, I mean, we are protected by our Second Amendment rights. Our Constitution gives us the right to go through the proper channels and become licensed gun holders and owners. So anybody that goes, you know, to the back alley somewhere or purchases an illegal gun from someone's trunk, why are you hiding from the law? Why are you not going through the background checks? So the problem is that we need to have stricter sentences, longer sentences.
What is the first sentence?
It depends. It depends. There is. I was doing some background on this, and there is, you know, 2 years. There's 3 years, 5 years.
Supposedly.
But then there's plea deals. I'll give you. My personal story is a perfect example. The young man who shot and killed my brother with an illegal gun had been caught previously, had been arrested previously for illegal possession of a gun. Prior to using the gun to kill my brother, he was in trouble with the law for having an illegal gun, and then he was out there again with another illegal gun, which he used to kill my brother with.
Did they give him suspended sentences or something?
And then after he committed the murder, you know, there was an investigation. After he committed the murder, he was arrested because obviously he became a suspect in the case. He was arrested in possession of a third illegal gun.
Yes.
You know, and then we were able to hold him in until he was finally convicted for the crime. And it was the accomplice who made a plea deal, the accomplice who cooperated with the authorities, who told the authorities everything they needed to catch the trigger man. So the accomplice made a deal, and that's how we were able to pin down the trigger man. But he was in possession of an illegal gun 3 times. Why? Why do we keep him?
The person who actually
exactly, and eventually he killed an innocent person. You know, had we not caught him, who knows what else he could have been doing out there.
Do the judges do this simply to clear calendars?
I don't know, but I know.
Why would they do that?
Well, I'm not on the bench. You know, and then it depends actually, because it depends on the case. You know, sometimes, for example, in my brother's case, we needed to have a deal with the accomplice in order to catch the trigger man, because he got rid of the weapon, so they had to. So it depends. You know, when you come across cases with mitigating circumstances, you have to have these plea deals. But at the same time, and then you have to weigh the pros and cons.
Well, either you go to jail for 2 years or you don't.
Well, right now, he is facing 22 years to life.
Yes, well, but that's
but
for
after,
the murder.
For the murder, exactly. He should have been in jail the entire time, and he had not been out there committing the crime that he did.
Now,
and my brother would be alive today.
The press release you said that this is more frequently the case, that they are found in possession of an illegal handgun and for some reason get back out on the street instead of doing extensive time.
Exactly. I mean, we do understand there are a lot of young men out there who are misguided, perhaps, who do, you know, there are a lot of people, especially with the younger generation, that sadly make permanent decisions based on temporary situations. You know, they join a gang, or they fall into the peer pressure, and who knows. So I do understand that people make mistakes, you know, but at the same time, you know, when it comes to something like a gun we know it's an inanimate object. You know, guns don't kill people, people kill people, and the gun itself, it's as evil as the person who is holding it, you know. So just like it's used for evil, it is used for good. Policemen and women use it to protect their lives and protect the citizens. You know, law-abiding citizens use it to protect themselves and protect their families and protect their homes. So it all has to do with who is wielding the weapon.
Right. Do you think gun show promoters do enough to concentrate on the safety angle of guns?
They can do as much as they can, but as much as we can all do coming together, there's never enough that we can do to make our community as safe as we can possibly make it. With all the work we do, it's still never enough, you know. So they follow the law, because otherwise they would not be allowed to host gun shows, whether in county-owned properties or privately owned properties or whatnot, you know, because they have their businesses, they have their licensed businesses. What they do, they're not required by law, they're not required to promote, you know, safety and things like that, but they do it. By law, they do it. They have to follow the guidelines. Also about proper storage, because, you know, you do have parents with young children, or look at Sandy Hook, when the stuff was not properly stored. Exactly. So
that
proper
was a point.
storage.
One of the persons on my show last week, a gun advocate, and said that safety is paramount in storage guns.
Exactly.
Storing guns.
Exactly. Safety is one of the #1 issues as well.
Right. So where does this go in the future, this gun ban that continues to linger? And at the top of the show, you said that the override vote is being held in abeyance for a while.
Well, we need the 12 votes to override the veto. It's expected to be vetoed today. We need the 12 votes to override, and our chairman of the board, Michael Kaplowitz, is going to leave the override open toward the end of the term, and we'll see if we can get enough votes.
Which will be the end of the year.
Right? To the end of the term. So we'll see what happens. We'll just see what happens. I don't know if after that will be proposed again. But then again, you know, the restrictions that are coming from our state level, from our Attorney General, these two laws are not inconsistent to one another. If you support one, it should support the other. So they're not inconsistent.
Yes. Now, we are interviewing you on Inauguration Day, 2016. 2017, what am I saying? But anyway, and the new Trump administration is threatening to deport immigrants who are here illegally in the United States. Well, New York State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman has issued guidelines this week, within the last 2 days, about how to help so-called sanctuary cities shield immigrants from agencies that may be deployed to find illegal residents in various cities and towns. Is there high anxiety among immigrants, legal or illegal, in your opinion, in the county?
There is a level of anxiety. You know, obviously we know everybody comes here with the intentions of giving their children a better life. Everybody wants a piece of the American dream, and everyone has a different version of what that American dream means to them. Some people just want better education for their children. They probably want better paying jobs or affordable health care for their family, owning their first home, owning their first business, or perhaps just living in a safer community. Everyone has a different version of what that dream means to them. I'm sure that no one comes here with their families with the intention of committing crimes or causing any harm, you know, to our communities. But things happen. Children grow up and they follow either a good direction or a bad direction. Now, I don't. In my community, I will tell you what's happening in my community. I will tell you what's happening in Southwest Yonkers.
That's what I would.
So in Southwest Yonkers, I have had conversations with members of my community, some legal residents and some not. These people are hard-working people. My constituents, the ones that are coming to me with those kind of concerns, with the new administration, they're hard-working people. Even the people who are not legal citizens, they're hard-working. They're not out there committing crimes. The ones that are out there committing crimes, they're not out there voicing their concerns. No. They're not out there, you know, challenging, you know, the status quo. The ones that are committing crimes are out there hiding in the shadows, committing the crimes, you know, victimizing innocent people. The ones that are out there voicing their concerns are the hardworking men and women who only came here in hopes of providing a better future for their children.
Are they sort of already planning to leave, some of them? Or
no one has said that they're going to leave because they're not committing crimes, you know. We're just going to see what happens. This election season was very interesting, to say the least. You know, the president is being sworn in. Let's see what happens when the administration goes into full gear. But in my community, I was at the community council meeting the other night, you know, with members from my district and with our local police department, and we work really well together. We form a partnership to bridge the gap and the disconnect between our residents and law enforcement, and that was addressed. And our police captain mentioned that, you know, with all the stuff that's happening out there, it hasn't happened in Southwest Yonkers because of that partnership. You know, we work really well together. So our law enforcement out there is not out there intimidating, you know, residents, whether legal or illegal residents. They're not there intimidating. They're making them feel safe and making them feel like they are a part of the community, because we are.
And do you think when some of the immigrants that are here illegally came to this country that they were familiar enough with what they had to do?
Everyone knows that once you come here, if you come here illegally, you have to do whatever needs to be done to become a legal citizen of the United States. Everybody knows. And I know that nobody wants to remain an illegal resident. I know that want to go through the process of becoming, because nobody wants to be hiding in the shadows. Nobody wants to be afraid of being deported. But perhaps it's not as simple as just, you know.
What's a compromise way to citizenship or staying in the country that you think would work if the Republican administration would be acceptable?
Compromise, amnesty programs, you know, but at the same time, actually, people who are not legal residents yet, actually, people who are working, a compromise, you know, and we're already doing that. They're doing it in New York City, to do it here in the county, where we give them their ID, and people are working, so they're able to do things. They can get tax ID, so they're actually taxpayers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. These people are taxpayers as well. Like I said, they're helping us hold the community together. These are not these people, the ones that are concerned, the ones that are, like I said earlier, the ones that are voicing their concerns are the hardworking mothers, fathers, grandparents, you know, young students who want to become legal so that they can go to college right after high school, so they can qualify for scholarship programs.
I interviewed a young man once who was a valedictorian at White Plains High School, and he got a scholarship to a great school. He couldn't go.
Exactly. All the people you see out there, you know, coming forward are law-abiding citizens, you know, who are working towards becoming legal residents of the United States. You know, like I said, the ones that are out there breaking the law, committing crimes, the ones that Trump is mentioning to deport, because he cannot put all of us in the same basket, because it's just not a fair assessment. So the lawbreakers are hiding behind the shadow somewhere, breaking the law. They're not out there.
You know, another matter of great concern to me as the Trump administration takes command is education. The nominee for the Secretary of Education is a proponent of charter schools. Based on your experience in the public schools and your knowledge of charter schools in Yonkers, are charter schools more effective?
We do have we do have one charter school. I've visited the school before. They do a great job with the children. But there is, you know, there is the concern that charter schools might be taking away resources from our public schools as well. I am a product of the public school system in Southwest Yonkers, and I received an amazing education. Great teachers, great staff, you know, and my parents were working, you know, 2 jobs to be able to support us. And there was a language barrier because, you know, they were working, so they couldn't go to school at night or something to learn the language. So the teachers, it was a great partnership between the educators and the parents, and giving us the tools that we needed to move forward. You know, I went on to high school, I went on to college, and I went on to become a successful person. My brother also continued his education. We're all products of the public school system. So as far as a lot of the Trump appointments are being questioned.
Yes, it's just bizarre. It really is. The attitudes of some of these nominees. The attitude is the problem. The hearts are missing.
At the end of the day, you know, it has to come down to what really matters is providing a child with a quality education so that they can further, so that they can extend their chances at becoming successful and productive members of society.
Yes, I think you are an excellent person to answer this next question. The Education Department in New York State has promulgated a Section 154 law that requires bilingual education of any class of students in a school which has more than 20% of students speaking one language and are English language learners. How do you feel English language learners should be handled in education to bridge this big gap? In White Plains, our Latino students are so, you know, way behind in their assessment scores and all. And is the state education department right or wrong? How does Yonkers approach this?
When I first came to this country, I was 10 years old, and I was required to take the bilingual.
You were 10?
Yeah. I was,
right. So, I mean, you were well versed in one language.
In one language, you know, my first language, which is Spanish. And then my brother and I, you know, he was 7 at the time, so we were required to take the bilingual classes. I think it's great because it's a way to help the children acclimate. Exactly. It helps us acclimate and become familiar with new language, new culture, you know, new education system. The way we did everything here was different, actually. And I remember even like the math courses. Math used to be one of my favorite subjects. And when we were doing like the divisions and things of that nature, we did it different back home. So it's a way of helping the children acclimate. So it's not a sudden change. And the
Yonkers taught you bilingually when you took it. Right.
I think it's a good thing because, you know, if you cannot just take a child who only speaks one language and just throw them in a classroom and they're supposed to learn something in an entirely different language, and that's why they will fall behind in their exams.
Exactly. So you like the dual language concept, English part of the day?
It worked for me.
Bilingual
Yes,
in Spanish the rest of the day? Or whatever?
It's a way of easing the child into the new education system, into the new programs. Yes, it's a way. It's a way of walking them through, and then slowly phase them out, because as time goes on, then you get phased out of the program, and then you go into a English speaking classroom only. We were phased out of the program after a couple of years, and we did very well. I know that if any child had a problem taking classes and only in English, then they will just give them a little bit more time. But no, after that, if you're phased out of the program, which like you should be, the child just excels from there on.
Well, we have about a minute to go. Is there any message you would like to tell persons about watching the show, about your feelings going forward throughout the rest of the year?
Well, as we all know, the entire Board of Legislators is up for re-election, myself included. Currently, right now, actively working on my re-election bid. So we're just connecting with your local elected officials, connecting with local law enforcement. Let us be a conduit. Just like the whole New York City motto, if you see something, say something. A lot of people are afraid to come forward. That's what we're here for. Exactly. I say that and I say it and I mean it. My constituents are my extended family. So I love spending time with them. I knock on doors whether or not it's an election year. I'm out there the entire time. It's not only when it's time to collect votes or collect signatures. So I have an interest in my community. I have an vested interest in my community. I grew up in Southwest Yonkers. I live in Southwest Yonkers. When the day comes that I have children, I plan on raising them in Southwest Yonkers. It is my home. It is the place I grew up in, and I've grown to love and call home, and I'm not going anywhere. So I ask members of my community to, just to help us come together and do everything that we can to protect and improve our quality of life.
All right. Well, Virginia Perez, County Legislator from Yonkers District 17. You have been heard, and thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for your invitation.
Right.
Thank you.
John Bailey, good night for People to be Heard.